I used to think that getting my dream physique was all about fat loss. In fact, I was so obsessed with losing fat that back in 2018, I lost 70 pounds in 7 short months and got absolutely shredded. So what I want to talk to you about in this video is some of the things I learned during that transformation, and more importantly, the mistakes that I made along the way so you don't make these mistakes. And it's kind of like what Steve Jobs says. Sometimes you can't connect the dots unless you're looking back, okay? So for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Tim Ernst. I'm an intermittent keto fasting coach who, like I said, lost 70 pounds in 7 months all the way back in 2018. And I kind of maintained that weight loss for about 2 years, and then 2020 happened. I regained some of that weight back, which is one of the mistakes I made we're going to be talking about in this video. And I decided that this year to get back into my best shape. So I started at 233, got down in the 190s, and I did that in 10 short weeks. And I've also coached hundreds of men from all over the world to lose at least 40 pounds in 16 weeks using my Keto Shed 40 coaching program. If you want more info on that, I'll go ahead and put a link into the description of this video that'll take you to another video that kind of explains more in detail as to how I could potentially help you. So let's talk about my transformation all the way back in 2018 and why becoming too obsessed with losing weight and fat is a big mistake. So these are some different phases that I went through, and I want to explain each of these phases so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. So phase one, I became so obsessed with losing weight. I became obsessed with the scale. And I'll never forget standing in my bathroom and having this internal dialogue, thinking to myself, I'm going to get in the most ridiculous, shredded shape of my life, so much so that I'm going to show other people how to do it. So that was kind of my why. Kind of interesting. My why wasn't, oh, I want to get healthy, I want to lose weight, for my family and live longer. It was just to get in incredible shape and show other people how to do it. That was my why. So how I started this off, I started doing the keto diet. I figured out a formula to track my calories, and I started doing keto, and I started combining it with intermittent fasting. So what I did is I pulled all the carbs and sugars out of my diet, very high fat, moderate protein, very low carb, and I became absolutely obsessed with hitting my calories every single day, weighing myself every single day, and I did a lot of weight training on top of 3 days of intense cardio. Because you got to remember, I was focused only on losing the weight. Yes, I did some strength training, but I feel like that my cardio kind of took over. The cardio that I did is I would do HIIT training on the treadmill for like 20 minutes. I'm talking intense HIIT training where I would run for a minute, walk for a minute, run for a minute, walk for a minute. And I would do these for 10 intervals. And I'm telling you, this will kick your butt. All right, so I did that. Then I would do incline treadmill for an hour, incline at the steepest that you can do while walking for an hour. And then the other day I would do cardio is I would do an hour of stairs at a very brisk pace. And let me tell you, when you do that kind of cardio on top of strength training, and your calories are low, and you have no carbohydrates to fuel your workouts, you're going to struggle. You're going to lose strength. And I'll tell you, there were times where in between my sets, I got really lightheaded, and I knew it was because my blood pressure was really low. And there were times where I would almost pass out in between my sets. And it was because my calories were super low. I had no carbohydrates to fuel the workouts, and I was doing crazy amounts of cardio. So my body was so depleted, right? So that was mistake number one, is I was so obsessed with losing weight, I was gonna do whatever it took. Now, mistake number two that I made is I became very obsessed with getting to a point where I would be able to have these weekend, full-blown cheat days. Not cheat meals, cheat days. Now, I didn't do this right out the gate. Hear me out. I did not do this right out the gate. I think I waited a good 3 to 4 months. It wasn't until I lost my first 30 to 40 pounds that I decided to incorporate a huge cheat day. So what I did is Monday through Saturday, I kept it very, very clean. Keto, intermittent fasting, and the fasting approach that I did, I forgot to mention, was the 20 and the 4. I would have my first meal at 1 and my second meal at 5. I stuck with that for a very, very long time. Then I would on Sunday, I kid you not, this was the routine, okay? Now remember, this was after 3 to 4 months of strict keto and intermittent fasting, and I lost my first 30 to 40 pounds. I would go to the gym on Sunday, I would train really hard, and then I would go to the grocery store next door to the gym, and I would load my cart with anything I wanted. I'm talking Ben & Jerry's ice cream, donuts, pizza, French fries, all the stuff I was craving. And the reason why I did this every Sunday is that 2 days before my cheat day, I would binge watch these food challenges where these guys would try to attempt eating 10,000 calories in a day, 20,000 calories in a day. You may have seen some of these food challenges. And I would literally binge on these videos because I was looking forward to my own binge, if you will, every single Sunday. So I was planting that seed in my mind. So I became very obsessed with watching these videos and looking forward to my big cheat day. Now, when Sunday came, like I said, let's go back to that. I would go to the gym, go to the grocery store, load up my cart with a bunch of junk. I would come home and I would wait till 1 p.m. That was my time that I started my cheat. So I started at 1 p.m. and I would eat until 5 p.m. So 4 hours of binging, and I would probably eat like 5,000 calories in that 4-hour window. And I remember when I was done, I felt like crap. I felt horrible. I had the carb coma, my belly ached. And I thought, why am I doing this to myself? It's almost like when you have a hangover from drinking the night before, you're like, oh, I'll never do that again. But guess what? I repeated this pattern every single week, having these epic cheat meals every Sunday. So that was mistake number 2. All right, so let's go back to mistake number 1. I was obsessed of losing so much fat, did too much cardio. Yeah, I got lean, but I wasn't focusing on building muscle as much. So way too much cardio, obsessed with the scale. Mistake number 2, I would binge on these videos on YouTube, these 10,000 calorie challenges, and then I would binge myself every Sunday. Mistake number 3 was because I binged every Sunday, I was obsessed with taking the weight back off. So guess what I was doing on Monday? Damage control, because I did so much damage on Sunday that I would go back to doing cardio, doing intense exercise, starving myself. Sometimes I would fast for like 24 hours, 48 hours to get all that weight back off from the epic cheats that I had on Sunday. There were times, I kid you not, this is no exaggeration, when I would have those cheat days on Sunday, I would gain 10 pounds. Now, obviously it wasn't 10 pounds of all fat. A lot of it was glycogen, and it was holding a lot of water weight. When you eat a lot of sugar and carbs like that in a 4-hour window, eating 5,000 calories, you are filling up your body with glycogen, water, and yes, some of it was fat. If you're eating 5,000 calories, you're definitely gaining about 1.5 pounds of fat. So I became obsessed with taking that 10 pounds off. And here's what I found out. It would take me a good 3 to 4 days to take that 10 pounds off. And guess what? I was getting close to having my binge again. So Sunday would come, I would do the same thing. I would gain 8 to 10 pounds. And then on Monday, I would do damage control again. What this did is it created a very unhealthy relationship with food. It was almost like I was creating this eating disorder where I would pretty much starve myself all week doing keto and fasting, very low calorie, and then I would look forward to my binge days on Sundays. Very unhealthy way to live. So while I lost 70 pounds in 7 months doing that approach, again, I stayed strict keto for the first 3 to 4 months, became obsessed with fat loss to the point where I was neglecting building muscle. Do not neglect building muscle, all right? And then I became too obsessed with the binging, having my cheat days on Sunday. And then I became obsessed with taking the weight off. You see how that pattern is very, very unhealthy? But I didn't realize what I was doing then, all right? Like I said, sometimes the only way to connect the dots is to look back. So I want to help you avoid some of these mistakes. Now, the approach that I take today, I've already reached my goal. I started this year at 233 pounds, and I got down to 190 in about 10 to 12 weeks. So I did it pretty quickly. However, I don't do these epic cheats anymore, all right? I do zero cardio. In fact, only cardio I do is what you see me do right now, is taking walks in my neighborhood. That is literally it. I take no more extreme cardio sessions, no more HIIT training, no more stairs. I don't do any of that. I just do walking. And I probably don't even hit 10,000 steps a day. I don't, all right? I'm focusing on strength training. Now, I still do keto. I still do a combination of keto and carnivore, and I do a lot of intermittent fasting, but I don't do the extreme fasting like I used to do. Now, I will fast for 48 hours over the weekend. Today's Friday, so I will definitely, do my fasting over the weekend, and I'll break it on Sunday. Usually my last meal today will be around 2 o'clock, and then I'll break the fast on Sunday at 2 o'clock. So about 48 hours. I still do that, but I do not do these epic binges anymore. What I do now is I don't keep it clean 100% throughout the week. If I want to have a little treat, a little something, I eat it. I do. If I want to have a little piece of chocolate, if I want to have a little bit of chips or something, I'll eat it. And guess what? I maintain my weight. I don't have to do damage control on the next day because I binged like I did, back in 2018 when I had those epic cheat meals. So I say all this to say, be careful on your weight loss journey. I know it's tempting to try to get the weight off as fast as possible. It's very tempting, but I made a lot of mistakes when I did this, and you don't want to make the same mistakes that I did, because you know what happened in 2020. I regained most of that weight back, because when you do something extreme like I did back in 2018, you are setting up your body to rebound all that weight back. You crash your metabolism, and your body doesn't know what to do when you give it excess calories. So you want to do it slowly over time. That's going to help you maintain your new physique. Focus on strength training. That's what I'm doing right now. And you will be much more satisfied with your transformation. Okay? So I hope this video helps you to not make the same mistakes that I did. So make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And always hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Until next time, I'll see you then.